Okay, so welcome back to episode 6 of the 1% podcast. I'm joined today by my good friend, Chris Tierney. He's a university friend of mine. I've known him for years and he's a very successful PT out in Australia. So we're going to be covering a question that he asked me regarding the podcast for PTs today. But Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of like your background?
Yeah. Hey, Matt, thanks for having me on. So a little bit about me. I met Matt through university, as he's mentioned. The course that we did was sports coaching and physical education.
Yeah, great
So,
degree.
slightly different routes that we were probably aiming for at that time. But there's still a lot of crossover of the skills that came through from that, or I believe so anyway, that have been very useful
I'd
with
agree.
that. Prior to that, obviously, we both enjoyed sport, particularly football, did pretty well at that, got injured. Luckily, when I was younger, I was part of a sort of charity business where we would use sport to tackle gang crime. So I had all these skills. I thought, oh, what can I do? What's best? Because I was a bit lost at that moment in time, and I thought teaching would be the route. Went through with you via university. Looking back now, I think I got a lot from it, where I think I've had waves where I think, oh, was it worth it? Was it not? But because of where I'm at now, I believe it has had a really good positive impact, and I've got to meet yourself, obviously.
What can I say?
And then from there, I actually went into teaching, and I loved the teaching part. I love working with kids. I love seeing people progress. But I did become very ill. I had a brain tumor, which was about 5 years ago now.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And obviously you don't know what was going to happen at that point. It makes you reflect a lot. So after that point, it was like, okay, what do I really want? What do I want to get out of this life? So a big part was that I wanted to travel more. I even found a bucket list that I wrote when I was 14 years old, just like sorting through some drawers or something. It was to own a beachside house in Australia. So that was it. And I pretty much quit my job, and within a few days booked the tickets, and off I went. And then now I've been in Australia. It'll be coming up to sort of under 5 years, just under 5 years.
Wow.
And then I had then, since moving here, I've been a PT basically. I was fortunate enough to join a big, world-renowned global company, high-end ticket, high-end service, and really start establishing and growing my skills for PTing. I think I already had some good qualities anyway, coming from sports background.
Yeah.
We had put the time in the gym ourselves at university all the time. I'd already worked with a lot of friends and helped them and got them through. But I was managed to rise through the ranks pretty quickly, and then help with education of other PTs, getting great results. And then I've since moved on working by myself in a nice luxury gym in the heart of Sydney's CBD. And I'm just running my own business out there currently. But obviously there's a lot of future plans, which I spoke to you, that are in the pipeline, hopefully coming ahead.
So you've been PTing 5 years now, have you?
Officially, yes. Officially, yeah. So really, it's still pretty fresh, to be honest. Although I don't feel like that. I feel, because the experiences that I've had, which will be inclusive of what we're going to talk about today. I guess I've had more life experience because I'm 32 now. And more, I know, crazy, right? And more teaching skills that have all combined within this, which I think has set me a little bit farther ahead, which is why I did so well quite quickly.
Yeah, oh wow. I was going to say, because so the question that Chris asked was, what makes a great PT? And then and then you go on to ask the skills PTs would benefit from mastering early in their career. And I have to say, I don't know about you when you did your course, Chris, but like it's literally memorize anatomy and physiology, regarding the ventricles of the heart and all the rest of it. Do a little bit multiple choice about like nutrition, and then it's you're qualified. See you later. Get on with it. And they never talk about anything that goes into sort of like how to pick up business. And one of the things I noticed, because I qualified as a PT a bit later, a couple of years later than you did, whilst I was teaching. And then it was kind of like, I'm the same as you. Me and you have an experience in the background of actually like dealing with people. So dealing with students, communication skills in terms of actually like teaching people. And then PTs, like the best way I always describe PT to everybody is it's like teaching, but people actually want to be there. So,
that is pretty helpful. Being a teacher, that is very helpful.
So you never get these like naughty kids and that you're like, oh god, I'm spending all lesson trying to teach them. Whereas they're like good. Everyone's like a good kid. They're there. They really want to do stuff. So I guess the best way I would get you to kind of sort of like maybe we could discuss the question is like, if you can remember when you first started out, when you moved to Australia, what was the first kind of skills that you had to kind of utilize in order to pick up clients? Because you're in a new place, new gym, a new town, you've got a nice funny accent. How do you start picking up business really, really well? Was it quick? Was it slow? Fill me in.
Oh, well, as you said, it was just the accent, wasn't it? No, it wasn't quite that easy. As I say, fortunately, I guess with this global company that I joined, they're so well renowned that people come to that. They're so well advertised. They've been around for a long time, very well established. I didn't need to go through that process of gathering my own clients. There was such a backlog of people that were coming in that they're handed to them. As soon as you had some sort of free time, that free time was taken straight again by this new person coming in, churning them out. So in terms of that sort of skill, that's where I've had to develop this part now in my current career stages. But for me, that took I guess it takes a lot of the burden, because I had a lot of time just to really refine the skills that are providing an excellent, top tier ticket service for that client. Because coming into the industry, especially now during COVID, it's going to be very difficult. Not saying that it's impossible, but obviously those things are getting very tricky. And as I said, I've just had that time to really refine my skills, but now I'm having to look into that. And it has come at a time, unfortunately, because I left the company a month prior to COVID kicking off. Ooh. So exactly. But I've still been able to, cover comfortably fine and live the life that I currently am, which is something that I love and enjoy so far. So it's been good. It's been a great learning curve. And for me, I do well under pressure. So I quite thrive off that, really, and the challenge.
So with the fact that you did, so you wouldn't have had to go and got actual PTs. So with the PTs that you were given, how did you kind of like what was kind of the expectations in terms of what you needed to do? Or did you have your own expectations, or was it from the company kind of sort of like down? They had specific expectations for like what they wanted you to do with clients.
Sort of. The big thing that is bred there is the culture, and it's really, when you're surrounded, it's a product of your environment. When you're surrounded by everybody that's thinking the same sort of things and wanting the same sort of things for their client, you can't help by being bought in and drilled in by that. Not just each and every PT within there, but also the clients within that. They are bought in, and you can just see the repetitiveness of people delivering these results, and you're watching that. You're seeing how this person acts. They speak to their client, their delivery in the executions of what they're wanting from this particular client. And don't forget, we're saying client as in not everybody's the same. Everyone will be different. So the delivery of this is going to be completely different, and how they adapt within that. So I learned through mostly watching, listening, asking questions. As we both did, even from university, even though we were studying sports, I'd still go away and read all the journals, listen to all podcasts, speak to who I believe was relevant, mentors, I guess, and also had a mentor while I was at UP, who was fantastic as well, really grounded me in with sort of the basics of what I would need to ground in, get on my feet, get running, which was quite good, because then some of this will cross over again with, I think, looking back on what would help people sort of establish themselves quickly to, get on their feet and start running.
Okay, so so I think you touched on it there. So like in terms of client, everybody's different. So I mean, we're probably quite good because our teaching background probably allowed us. But so differentiation is massive, I would have said, in PT, because no two people are alike. Do you have any examples of two massively different people that you had to that you kind of trained? So I can give you an idea. I train a sort of like a, I think she said she's 5'3" lady, but I also train like a 6'4" giant. And they're not cookie cutter program. They have two completely different programs. And I think one thing I've seen with PTs is that it's one PT session for them, and then they'll just follow up with another PT session, and they just might make it a little bit harder or not. But there's, the exercises aren't different. It's not personal to them. There's no differentiation at all.
Well, as you mentioned there, you're not a PT, you're just a T, right? Yeah, there's nothing personal about that. Now, not saying this is, I mean, it's not optimal for that client, but everyone does have to start somewhere. We didn't know any better. There's probably going to have some sort of formal structure that you need to have, and then have this reflective practice and continued passion and education, where you go away and be like, okay, this is working for, maybe it's working for 50, 60% of your clients, but it's not working for this 40%.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's happening here that isn't quite clicking for this person? Or why is this person getting, I don't know, some niggles when performing this particular movement and things like this? And then start to, go down this rabbit hole and really bury in. And I think that's, for me, probably the most important skill that you need within personal training, is having a reflective practice. So anybody that can have these analytical skills, which I think universities provided us with.
Yeah.
I think, and when we were at university and I did my PGCE, we had a big discussion on basically what a teacher is. And if we're looking at empowering people to be able to go away and perform, all these things without you eventually, and that they're living, they're having this wonderful, fruitful life, healthy, happy, and we get so many opportunities to do that. If we're training a client 3 times a week for, there's 52 weeks in a year. It's not going to be every week, but let's call that 159. We have 159 opportunities to change the outlook of this person, to manage the forces that we're putting through these joints. As you mentioned, if we've got people of different sizes, different limb lengths, different origin and insertions, different rib cage depths, all these sort of things, when you get into the biomechanics of it and you're looking at what's going on around the ribs, the pelvis, all this sort of stuff, there's no better sort of rounding up of what a personal trainer is than somebody who safely and efficiently can progress these forces that we're putting through this person. And that will massive differently due to the architecture, and even down to the person that's walking in through the door on that particular day. And then with that, you then again have the opportunity to change what's going on, whether that be mentally, emotionally, physically, from them walking in on that half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And then these knock-on effects will build up over time and hopefully build them into this person, whatever goal that they're trying to achieve.
So one of the things that you mentioned there, so the T, just like the trainer, teacher. So one of the things I always say to my clients is that in a session, I'm trying to teach them, and I think you'll probably do the same, is we're trying to teach them almost 2 to 3 key points for the session that they can remember and be able to sort of bring back. But like you touched upon it there, we're kind of sort of training them to kind of not needing us, so we're teaching them. All my clients know how to write down progress and actually track their workouts, how to change progress in terms of like eliciting an actual response. but also how to train safely. And yet one of the things I noticed in my PT, well, I don't say my PTs, but PTs I've seen, is that they don't teach them. It's kind of like they never give them enough information for them to be able to go and do it themselves. It's kind of like, be so reliant on me, you're going to have to be PTing with me for years and years and years. And I'm like, and I've got a couple of clients I could quite easily go, see you later, bye. You can go and train yourself now. You literally have all the tools. And I don't see why a lot of PTs don't train, like actually teach people.
Yeah, I'd like to think that when people like my clients would go out to dinner, or they're having their social occasions, or they're around their family or friends, they're not going, oh, can't have that. My coach has said no.
Yeah.
Like, I would like them to be able to repeat, oh, I don't think at this point in time that's a good option, and it's not serving my purpose because it's very minimal in protein and I've had very, very little through the day. I want them to be empowered enough and have that knowledge to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're there for. You're offering these solutions to problems that they have, and you're not really providing an answer if you're just telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Because then they have no background of how to deal with that or anything that comes ahead for them. And as you say, I guess the issue is with somebody that's new in this particular instance is that you just don't know any better, possibly, for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that everybody is, well, hopefully, PTs are doing it from a good kind heart and perspective, in that they're trying to do the best for their client in front of them. And I think if you always go within that intention, you're going to be going down the right route. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It just means at that moment in time and their skill level, education, experience at that moment in time may just not be there. So it's, again, probably there should be something within the industry where we can start to manage this and level this out so that somebody does provide this feedback. If I wasn't surrounded by the people that I were within my first year, I'm sure that I wouldn't be as far advanced as I am now. That's for sure.
Yes. That's it's because if you think about PTs and you think about teachers, like as a teacher, what you normally, what do you have a lot of? You normally have a lot of assessments whereby you're watched for your teaching and quality of teaching, and then you're given feedback as to what you can improve, what you did well. And yet, as soon as you become a qualified PT, there is none of that. The only way you're going to do that is spending money on CPD and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, we have talked about it before, but I'm massive on CPD. I mean, Elon Musk says it. There's so much information out there on the internet now that, like, you don't really have to pay for courses. You can do it for free. However, there are some great mentors that we have in here in the UK. We've got like Mark Coles is a great one, Phil Lerney, Jamie Alderton, and they pay for all these courses. But it's mad to think that, like, from personal trainer's perspective, I don't know about you, but I'm very much I want to learn from somebody that knows it. And I have to say, one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of PTs, old and new, who think they know it all, and they're not willing to kind of, like, what's the word? It's I had it the other day. It's basically not open book, but like you're willing to accept that you don't know everything. You're basically a student for life. You're not stuck in one way. And yeah, it's weird to think that I see so many people that are just kind of like, this is how I'm doing it. I don't care what you say. I'm not listening to you. What do you know? And I'm like, well, I actually know a lot, man. Think about all the stuff that we've done for the last 10 years. When we were at university, we used to do you remember we did intermittent fasting?
Yeah, we tried everything. We did that.
Tried everything.
I've been lost sleep over this. I was trying to remember that program that we did when we watched that documentary on YouTube of the guy who went, like, not fit to fat, but he was like a journalist, and he was this chubby guy. And then when he trained with that physique competitor. And it was called the Max OT program. Do you remember? And we actually got really strong doing that.
Yes.
But then you look at it, you think, well, we're young, pretty fit, healthy guys, and we were just following a structured plan. When I look back now and I'm performing some of the exercises, like, Was I doing that properly? Was that fit for me? Probably not. Was I going the best way around it? But just following that structured plan and being young, youthful, eating a lot was getting me there. Again, following intermittent fasting, if we look at the principles, you're just restricting the amount of calories that you have in a certain time, which led to the weight loss.
Yeah.
Not all the sort of gimmicky guru stuff that comes along with it.
So much of it.
But yeah, at that moment in time, this is the sort of information that we had to filter through and go through and experience ourselves, because that was what was coming through in the magazines, the articles, whatever, at that moment in time. So to be honest, although we were reading journals and going away and trying to find about this stuff, even the doctors weren't even sure of what sort of was optimal. It's advanced so much over this 10 years. So we were only following what we knew then. And I'm sure this will advance again over the next 10 years.
Always changing.
They'll have that the new crowd of PTs coming through, and we'll be saying, 10 years ago we were doing this, we must have looked like right dummies. It will continue to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, that leads me into another question, actually, to be fair. So one of the things I've noticed more is that the textbooks and all that will only tell you so much. How much importance do you put down to actual experience on the gym floor? Something that a textbook won't teach. Like, what have you learned that a textbook hasn't taught you, and that you now value so much now, from just being on the gym floor? Because there's quite a few I know that I've picked up, and yet haven't found it in the, I don't want to say haven't found it in the textbook. Like, it's not quite how they explain it. It's actually quite different.
I guess the biggest one is just the understanding of human beings and what they're going through, the sort of empathy side. Like, I don't have kids, so I guess I'll never quite understand what a single mother with 3 children is going through to get to this stage. I can guess. I'm not going to tell this mother that's rushing and making packed lunches for her 3 kids getting ready for school that she needs to be eating steak and nuts in the morning or something like that. You might.
Why not?
She can only get, exactly. She can get down her bowl of cereal in whatever amount of minutes, and we'll, reverse engineer and improve what we can from where she is. And this is where, again, it becomes personal to that individual. But I think that just comes with time and dealing with so many clients as you can, and from all sorts of different backgrounds, coming against all sorts of different problems, which again, you have that reflective practice and you think, okay, what's working for this person? What's not? Where can we apply friction to things or remove friction from things that are going to make this easier for her to go down the right avenues that are, line up with her values and her goals, ambitions. I'll say her or him, it doesn't really matter. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, and that's just come through time of that. Within textbooks, if you want a bit more of a specific example, a big thing would be, there's plenty of textbooks out there that say you should perform a bench press like this.
Yeah.
And what that's doing is just presenting you with choreography.
Yeah.
It's just saying what it should look like.
Yeah.
And that every person should have the same and look the same.
Yeah.
When, as I've mentioned previously, there's a lot more going on there when we're looking at the muscles origin insertions. We're looking at, the depth and the breadth of this person's rib cage.
Yeah.
We're looking at the control that this person has over there. We're looking at where we're loading forces. There's so much to this, stuff like that. And the thing is, I can say this now, but this is something that I was doing when we were going to the gym, just because we didn't know better. It's only through time and education, So in a way, it's hard because we can't. I don't think that we should be shooting these young PTs down and say, "Oh no, you shouldn't be working with them." It's
Yeah.
just that you know, there's that learning curve stage, which is going to be, you know, progressive if their mind frame is right and not just in it like, oh, this is a way I can work an hour and
Yeah.
quite a bit of money, or
Yeah.
just jump online, sell a plan. If this person has great intentions to really help people because they really care, then, you know, they will, I'm pretty positive that this person will end up going down
Yeah, I
the
mean,
right path.
I don't know about you, but since obviously COVID, I mean, here, I know I love the positivity of, you know, giving out information for free and all the rest of it. But, you know, one
Yeah.
of the worst things, it stresses me out when people go, try my workout. And I'm like, your workout's designed for you. It's not designed for this other person to achieve their goal. And yet I'm like, yeah, it drives me insane because you are right. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit different because obviously I'm a therapist first. I do personal training, you know, and I love training. It's a passion of mine. You know how much we used to just research stuff, watch
Yeah.
documentaries and go and train. I mean, you know, intermittent fasting was like, you know, we're ahead of the curve, man. And yet, like, I program exercises in for people to keep them, you know, recovered and being able to work outside their life. So I think one of the main things PT don't understand sometimes is that it's okay to think about the other 23 hours that they're not in the session with you.
Correct.
And I mean, if I destroy a lady and she's got to go and what, you know, play with her kids for the next couple of hours, and yet she can't because the DOMs are so bad,
Right.
how does that even benefit her? Like, you know, and yeah, but like, yeah, man, she squats loads and look at that depth, and I'm like, yeah, great. Now she can't walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's,
if you look at it, they're more important than probably the 3 hours that they're doing to you. You know, arguably, if you look at the foundations of what health, which is probably the missing part that a lot of us could be missing, is that we don't look at the health side of things. It's always just about the body composition, who can get the most jacked, who can get peeled, it's not looking at, you know, what if we look at big health markers, what's going on with their blood pressure, cholesterol,
yeah,
HRV, how are they sleeping? What's their digestion like? What's it like after certain foods at certain times? You know, stress levels through the day, energy, and particularly now with this psychosocial element of being in COVID,
yeah,
particularly in the UK, I would have a strong push to looking at those sort of sides. If we're looking at, in fact, it was off another podcast now that I've just heard this. Nick
yeah.
Daniels, big shout out. If you don't know Nick Daniels and you want a good mentor, or do an absolutely fantastic course, go and check that out.
Oh, we'll do.
You look at the iceberg, and you know this is the foundation of what's underneath that sea level, that's building up for you to have the cherry on top of the cake,
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
within the training. If these aren't working well, particularly when we're dealing with general population people, which most of us are. I'm not dealing with elite level athletes. I don't think you are either, Matt, or maybe you
No,
are sometimes.
some of my ladies,
Um,
they're a bit elite. They know who they are. So
yeah, but even then, like, was it Zoe you had on last time, and she talked about some of the repercussions that were coming through when she was in her prep.
yeah,
There's a lot of things there that we can do to manage that and at least offset that. Now, she's made the decision to follow through with that, but a lot of my clients don't. I
yeah,
don't. I'm a general population person.
yeah.
Probably should take my own advice more often, that's for sure.
As should most PTs. Yeah,
Yeah, correct. Which is why I advise, like, even myself, have a coach. I'll be getting a coach very soon.
yeah.
I'm currently dieting, but I want to make sure that as I come
Okay.
out of that, I'm not just rebounding. So I'm going to have somebody to take that pressure, that burden away for me.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That's
yeah,
coincidence. That's literally me and you. That is an absolute coincidence. I'm thinking exactly the same thing. I'm dieting at the moment, and I'm gonna have a coach rebound me out, so it takes all the pressure off. I don't have to figure out the scales. They'll do their thing, and all I've got to do is be accountable and follow up.
yeah, correct. And it's another stress. We still have busy lives. I'm pouring myself into my clients, and I'm almost not doing the same. It's like I don't embody this my belief in coaching, I guess, to a certain extent. Where I do, I find them so valuable. PTs are so, well, when you've got a good one, are so undervalued. And if you look at the times, the current situation, we are needed now, more than ever. Obesity, health related issues, COVID, the mental impact that's having. The necessity that the work's there. So if people are struggling for work, the work is definitely there. That is for sure. It's just making sure that you are educated enough, passionate enough, and eventually, the strong will survive, because the ones that are really striving to really care and help people will survive through this. I'm not sure whether I've answered the question there or just
no, you have. No, I mean, like, we touched on problem solving is a very good skill. Like you say, people will come into you have no idea what happens. It's happened to them. I mean, to give you an example, problem solving, I had a girl come in the other day. She had a sore lower back, but she still wanted to squat. So I got her to squat, but we did it what looked like quarter reps. However, you know what it's like by posting information online, Chris. 4-second video, it shows everything. It shows all your thought process, your understanding of anatomy and physiology, and what you're trying to get out of the session, and and everybody agrees with you, because that's what they can see in that 4-second video. So I had to come up with a way in that session for her to still get a good leg workout, but take all the pressure off her back. So we did, which was high rep squats, and in terms of quarter squats, and she's and then if we look at depth, then we change it, we do a different exercise, like we did split squats, because she was able to get full range of motion, no pressure on the lower back. And then, so problem solving is a massive one. I'm probably the same as you. If something happens in the session and I'm like, man, how could I make that better? I'm always reflecting on sessions. Because I think you're probably the same as me. We can always, and it's part of this podcast why I call it 1%. We could always get 1% better. Every single session we can always improve by at least 1%, and that adds up over time. CPD, I don't know about how many courses do you think you've done since being qualified?
I've done quite a few. I'm a course whore when it comes to that sort of stuff. I like personally, and it's probably almost a bit of an issue to some point. I hate the thought of standing still, not progressing. It could be, maybe it's an egotistical thing, or it might be just a fear of being inferior or something like this.
Potentially.
But I want to be able to have somebody ask me a question, and I want to be able to have, at least provide some sort of background or information that is going to be useful to them to take away. If I need to refer them, I'll refer them. But if I can have, a positive impact, or again, I've got a client with Hashimoto's, maybe you know of that, maybe you don't. But the fact is that I want to know about that, so that if somebody does come that way, then my way with that I can provide the best experience I can for that person.
Well, you bring value then, didn't you? And then the more value you bring, then the more in demand you become, really.
Correct. Yeah. So I see it as that. But I've done quite a lot of courses within a short space of time, and I spend most of my income, other than obviously on rent, it would be on courses, without a shadow of a doubt. I invest straight back into myself, because I know, these people are paying their hard-earned money. They're not spending it on their kids. They're not spending it on themselves. They're coming to me for, a certain level of service, and they, a problem, a solution to this problem that they've got. So I'm trying to accumulate the most amount of knowledge or experience and information from everywhere, so that I can best cultivate, an answer or result to this within the context of their needs, the environment, whatever that would be. So I take a lot, but then I do think sometimes I'm doing so many that I'm bouncing around at a certain point. So I have slowed that down. That's something I've had to reflect on myself.
Yeah, because you have to have time to be able to actually apply the information in order to gauge feedback, don't you? And again, that comes under the reflection process, doesn't it? So
correct.
Okay, well, that's nice. So, we both do the same, really. So it's weird to think that we've kind of you've gone, you've gone halfway around the planet, and you've gone through teaching and gone down into training and helping people. And I've kind of done the same thing. I went into teaching, and then I'm now helping people, but in two different ways, in a therapy-based way and a training-based way.
Yeah.
But the core principles that are kind of still there. We both look at problem solving, we both look at reflection. We're addicted. I don't want to say to like making progress, but making ourselves better, and therefore making people around us will be better. I have to keep myself on my toes with my wife being unbelievably fit, which means I'm, that's why
she was always a machine, always.
And again, I think being in the trenches just helps. Like, so, one of the things I think a skill, definitely. So I in the COVID, when it first started, I took the decision that I was going to get the leanest I would ever possibly be in order to understand my clients better. And some of the stuff I picked up along the way is they just don't teach you in on the personal training course. You'll see people online, but until you physically experience it, you can't give that information across to someone. So me dieting massively helped one of the ladies I was dieting, getting her to diet in the summer as well, because she was seeing a lot of the same things that I was experiencing, and I was a couple of weeks ahead of her basically with these sort of symptoms. And I just said to her, look, you just got to be patient, because unless you have it from someone that's kind of been in it, almost kind of like you're like, I don't really respect you a little bit, because you're not really where I want to be. It's just a textbook. You're reading off a textbook. You've not experienced it.
Again, that will come with time, because if we're talking about new people that are coming through, maybe they have or have not experienced this, and if they have, if you've done it once, and depending on you may have been born with abs, you pop out at birth and you've got abs, where some people aren't. Some people have just general behaviors and habits in place that lead them to be in what is deemed as being in the successful position or whatnot, in terms of aesthetics, if that's what we're talking about. Where other people don't, their upbringing, their environment can have had that effect. And it's just, again, that's another part of it, is looking through that and seeing if we can manage that a little bit better for them when we're looking at their lifestyle and drawing as much information out, particularly that start consultation that you're having. What can you draw out of them to gather all this information for you to get the best picture in your brain of who this individual is in front of you, what they've got, what solutions you can provide from the information you get.
Okay. So to kind of summarize, like, you might have, we're kind of on the same thing, but like, if I said to you the question, off the cuff, right, what makes a great PT to you? What's your initial response straight away back to me?
Right. So I guess the first thing would be, let's define what it is, because you could argue what the terminology means between successful and good coach. You can get someone on Instagram with 1 million followers doing online plans that's seen as successful. And other people may see that. It depends what they deem as that. But to me, it's somebody that's able to, provide a first-class service whilst achieving the results that this person is after. So to me, that's what I'm looking at. So I'm not going to be going, having this business strategy or whatever is going to be a useful tool, even though it will be, I guess. You still got to put food on your plate for your kids at home and stuff like this. But to me, it's not the underpinning principles. That will be a byproduct of you being a great coach, is that people will come to you. So I guess to establish that.
Very different.
Now, in case we didn't have enough to talk about something like that, I did write a list of different points, but we've sort of covered them, I guess, across what we've talked about, because so many overlap with them. So as I said, for me, probably one of the most important ones is having reflective practice. Being empathetic. Passionate.
Massive one for me.
Continued education. actually caring about the person that's in front of you, really caring,
Oh,
which actually really I should put number one, I guess.
that is number one. Yeah. What's the point of you not caring about this person? Like I posted it today. If you saw my post, the lady who made this, she squatted 100 kilos today. She didn't think she could do it. But do you know who believed in her more than she did?
You did.
I did.
This guy.
I did. This guy. Yeah.
The guy with the glasses.
That's it. Number one. So yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I would put that at the top.
But yeah, that's a part of it. You're believing in this even more than probably your client is. You've got to be that G'd up and being so positive for them to do that. Honesty and integrity in what you do.
Yes, I like that. That almost brings me to a question, because you probably get this all the time. Do you think I'll have abs in 4 weeks?
I think you mentioned this on your last one.
And I'm like, and you talk about honesty and integrity, and the honesty is like, no. And then you're kind of like, it's almost it's a catch-22, because you're like, no, but then it's almost not yet, because it's a couple more weeks, and you kind of just keep coaxing them along. But you're right. I mean, some people would just be like, yeah, do it. Sign up to my 12-week program. And I'm like, what?
Because I guess that's what I deal with most is radical body transformations in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I do, but I'm just bluntly honest and just being realistic, because I don't really want to disillusion them with what's going on, because you're just losing your own respect there. If you're not setting these expectations up, and they've already come in with their predetermined biases and expectations, and you're trying to meet them in the middle where it's just completely unrealistic, then you're just selling yourself short, and you look a little bit foolish. You can't really guarantee anything in this world. And plus, you don't know. You're saying you're going to be here in 12, 16, 20 weeks, 6 months, whatever it is. You don't know what's going to happen in that timeline. Like for me, for example, when I had my brain tumor, I didn't know that was going to happen. You just have to manage what's the best that you can within that time. And particularly, it's a stressful event, and that's where PTs are very useful, because it takes all this stress away for you. And I guess it's not just honesty as well with your clients, it's honesty with yourself. If you are a new trainer, be proud of being a new trainer. You get caught up with seeing all these people and putting high ticket prices, but if they've been doing it for 30 years, they have this exceptional experience. You're not going to be there overnight, and also you haven't worked or put in the time to deserve to be charging the prices that these people do. It's not like you just jump in and once you've done your qualifications and you're just as qualified to deliver the same as a top-notch, well-renowned PT is doing with 30 years experience, probably got a degree in something, or has got the therapy background as well, something like that. You just can't do that. So you got to be honest with yourself at where you're at and the climate that you're in. Okay. I've got communication, of course, how you adapt and alter that to
Massively.
the different people that you have in front of you. And I think, again, this is where I talked about having a skill from teaching that has been massively helpful and crossed over for the PT realm.
100% that one.
I mean, the biggest thing, I made a little note at the side of it, is that being able to have these difficult conversations with your clients that could be awkward. If somebody's not achieving and you can see the actions aren't following up with what they say, can you have these difficult conversations with your clients, and then how do you go around communicating with that?
I think I know where you're going with that. Is this kind of like when they go to you, like, let's say they're checking in and they go, and you've set everything up right, and if they follow it, they're going to get to their goal, and let's say it's a calorie deficit and they're losing weight, and then they check in and they're like half a kilo up or something like that, and you just go, what's happened? You know, and they're like, nothing. I've stuck to the plan 100%, boss. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe the stars have aligned and I put on some weight overnight. What happened? Oh, you tell me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Come on, tell me more. Oh, I had a Domino's last night, but I didn't really mean to eat it. Well, I only smelt it, and then it just happened. I blacked out, and I've eaten it all. So, you know, the toughest conversation, you'll like this, right? And I actually offended a woman because she said, and I loved it because she went, yeah, my body's in starvation mode, so it doesn't actually want to. I don't actually want to lose it. My body doesn't want to lose any weight. I think I need to eat more food for it to lose weight. And I was like, right, okay. Let me just stop you right there. Let me just type in Google. I'm going to type in starvation camp victims, and I'm just going to I'm just going to have a look. So they actually didn't eat any food, and they exercise a lot, and then they've got nothing of them. I know you're telling me because you're not eating and you're exercising, your body's just going to never, ever like get any smaller. And I just went, is that really what's happened? You know, she went, well, actually at work this week, there were cakes and donuts everywhere. And I only had one here. And I was like, was it just one? And there's like, and there was more here. And then, but she can't. And then later on, she messaged me and said, I was actually quite offended about the starvation camp like analogy. And I said, well, I've taken it to the extreme because you're just lying to me in front of my face.
Yeah.
And I plan for you, like, you know, be honest.
So as you mentioned there, it's like the way of you communicating that. How do you go around about that? Because you need to get that point across, but also without doing it offensively. Or maybe sometimes they do need that boot up the arse as well.
Yes.
That's not a lie as well. There's only so much you can tread around it. And how do you go about that? Do you do this straight from the start? But then there's also finding out things that are going on in the background. So this may have gone up, and then if you go in full guns blazing, you've decided that sort of strategy, and then you find out, I don't know, the dog has died or something like that. You know, it's just, so make sure you're finding out what is going on for that person. Again, find the solution.
Yeah. Like you say, you know, you have no idea what they come to you in, what position they come into. You only see them for 1 hour of the day. You have no idea what they're doing for the rest of that day.
Correct. Yeah, and we just got to make sure. If we look at the stages of change, and you look at the 6 stages there, it's like, where are they in that process, and just can we curve them away from being in this relapse of going back to the old routines that they were in, because it's a safe environment for them. They're all food, and processed food is you know, designed and engineered for them to go back to those roots. If we're looking at sort of eating habits in this particular instance and things like this, so everything is almost going against them not to be in the position that they want to be. So there is obviously a certain amount of sacrifice that comes with that.
Okay, I like that.
Right. So yeah, I've got that. Communication, educator, as I mentioned, being able to really teach and empower your clients that you have. A great listener. I guess that ties in with communication to a certain start. You need to be able to take on this information, understand the client as best you can, understand the ever-changing dynamic environment, situations, pressures, stresses that they're under, all this sort of stuff, that just plays and feeds you this information for the bigger picture.
Yeah. I like that one.
Another one, I guess, is just professionalism. I know we mentioned it before we came on.
Yeah.
You've got a PT that's always on their phone or always late. Just the very simple things, coming in, maybe not had a shower, maybe smelling. You know, there are stories of that. I mean, luckily, I've been placed myself in positions where I'm never surrounded by that, but I've heard different horror stories, and these are common things that you see across social media from other PTs. So just, you know, bog standard professionalism will go a long way in this industry.
Yes, it will.
And then the last one that I had was organization. Being able to manage your time properly, you know, starting and finishing sessions correctly on time, because this will have a knock-on effect to the next client. Where are you tying in time for your own education, your own training,
Yeah.
your own reflective practice. If you're solo, when you're doing all your admin work or your finances, all this sort of stuff, which is hard, I guess, at first, but you need to have some sort of set system in place that works for you, your clients, the time that you have, that sort of stuff. So those were big things that I covered. There's probably many more, and I know some of them cross over. I try to summarize and minimize it because I know that it all overlaps and I didn't want it to be long-winded.
No. That's what I mean.
A
There's
quick
so many
thing.
things.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. To be a PT, you have to be a very well skilled person. Very well skilled. That's poor English. A very skilled person.
You're in Australia, it's fine. They talk about it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's all upside down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much to it. You've got to be your own business manager. You've got to be your own marketing manager.
Yeah.
There's no one able to hold you accountable other than your clients. And if you've got clients that don't know better, and particularly if they haven't had a PT before, they've got no experience to go off. They don't know what the level or delivery of service. But I like to think if they're coming and going, wow, they know what they're doing. This all looks great. It fits their needs, their values, their purpose. They're striving towards their goal. We're able to adapt and manage week in, week out. They've got clarity and certainty in what they're doing and needing, and then they're gaining the education on top of that. To me, that's sort of your top tier ticket, because what can they argue with or come back with you in terms of, what can you improve? And that's something I do. I ask my clients for feedback at the end of every week on what's going on, if there's anything that I can do better, if there's anything that I can provide better, because that's fundamentally who you're being judged by in this industry.
Yeah, they're the ones that keep coming back, keep paying you bills. Well, I say keep paying your bills, but yeah, they they pay for your service because you bring a very, very good service. So it's it helps. I don't want to say being likable helps, but because it's not, what I call it, a skill, not it's difficult, but they'll like what you bring. You don't have to be a likable person, but they like what you bring to the table.
Yes, I guess so. It's respect, isn't it? They respect you because you're doing everything within your realm to get the client, the person, the individual to where they want, and they can see that you're doing your best to do that. And that's all anybody really wants, I guess, to a certain extent, or the most important part within it, for sure.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, we've been going for I don't even know how long has it saying been here on this. To be fair, it doesn't actually say for me, but
I think it's only about an hour, isn't it? It feels like longer, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, we could probably be going on for ages and ages covering, because there's so much you can cover regarding this and how it interlinks into certain things, how you set up sessions, and I'll definitely have to get you on for another one regarding sort of one of the things that might be worth talking about is just all our little experiences and stuff like that we've done, and how it's formulated kind of where we are now, with our own views of training, diet, all the rest of it, the industry itself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always happy to come on, always happy to chat. As I say, I love this stuff. I love geeking out on anything PT, health related. And I'm always here to help in any way.
That's it. Yeah, we are the helpers of health and fitness. So I like that. So what I'll do is I'll end it on this one, and we'll definitely get you back on, Chris. And then I hope people have enjoyed this. If anyone's got any questions for you, where can they find you?
Instagram. I mean, I'm terrible at this business side, but then that speaks for itself. I haven't really had to use it. People mod on about the importance of marketing, which it can be useful if you're looking for this multi-million-pound business. But I'm just constantly striving and getting clients. I don't want this to sound like a brag either. I just want it to be empowering that you don't need that to be successful or get money and whatever. It's a useful tool and I'm part of it. Yeah, correct. but yeah, it's not the be all or end all. And then obviously the company that I was with before did all that for
Yeah.
us anyway, for the company, should I say. So I never had to do that. So yeah, Instagram, Chris Tierney PT, or you can just email me at chris@ctpersonaltraining.org.au, obviously .au for Australia.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Get
shoot
the
across
right
any
one, not the
questions,
hyphens.
information that you have. Happy to help, happy to relay any answers and share whatever minimal wealth of knowledge that I have.
Yeah, minimal to some, but maximal to a lot of people. So yeah, it's we could go on to this for hours and hours, I think. So okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And again, if anyone's got any questions for myself, just just drop me a DM. Again, I'm the same as Chris. I'm more than happy to help, get you on the put you on the right path. And yeah, hopefully you take some information from this, and well, hopefully look forward to seeing you in the future.